welcome to day 2 of my Absolute Beginners course. Hopefully you found the day 1 course interesting and that's why you're back. If you found this one independently, go back and take a look at the day 1 course, but we're going to summarize it right now. What we talked about was, of course, if you're an absolute beginner, maybe the first day on your guitar, job 1, you clipped a tuner onto the guitar and you tune the strings. And so from day 1, we know that we have the strings E, A, D, G. And if we kept the tuner on, we could press the other strings and play them, and we could find their names. And that's a good way to do it. And the note name that we're interested in today, and in the last day, was the C note, right here. And we've broken down the important things that we want to learn in terms of music to a very, very few fundamental ideas. The first one being that the B and the C string, or B and the C notes, come right after each other. The E and the F notes come right after each other. And almost all the other notes, in order to maintain just the straight letter names, skip a fret. And so we're keeping that in mind, just remembering that the B and the C and the D and the E and the F come right after each other. The other thing we did is we came out and talked about the enhanced power chord, which is the whatever root note we're using. In this case it's a C. The 2 strings, or 1 string down and 2 frets over, that's the 5th, or the G string or G note. And then we get a C note again right below it. So if we skip 2 strings and come up 2 frets, we get the octave. And this is a really key tool for almost everything we're going to be doing. In addition, we laid out the pattern of the major scale. We take the C note, skip a fret, D note, skip a fret, E note, and then F note. C, D, E, F. We can play a kind of a cutesy way of. When we want to do the second half of the major scale, we can look at that power chord shape, find the 5th, do the same thing again. So with one little lesson, we learned how to get our notes that we're interested in knowing, get the name of the strings. The enhanced power chord helps us look around and find things. And the major scale gives us the position of the notes we're going to be interested in. So what are we going to do today? Well, we're going to take the same information and just expand it a little bit. We can play a power chord for each note of the major scale. And in fact, if you think about it, we've covered off all of the notes of the major scale and doing that just by playing the top half. And so we've got a pretty good idea of where the note sits, but we can play the other half of it the same way. We can start with the G and play it that way. So we can very easily play power chords starting on each note of the major scale. And that gives us a huge range of leverage because these chords will always work. Now, if I want to be an honest player, we have to kind of just say to ourselves, there's something interesting about the 7th notes. Okay, so remember we can take the 1st note, 2nd note, 3rd note, 4th note, 5th note, 6th, 7th, 8th. There's something interesting about that 7th note. And the interesting thing is that the 5th needs to be flattened, which sounds a little bit dissonant, but that's okay, it's supposed to be. Now I put that in only for the purists. We're not going to worry about it too much. The 7th note isn't that interesting to us right now. But what are we actually interested in? Well, remember the intro riff that we did? Cute little riff. It really is the 1, the 4, the 5, and the 6th. So those are the notes and thus the power chords that we incorporated. And we can listen to it as. You might say, well, those aren't the same notes. Well, watch, they are. If I take the C, well, that one for sure was the same. When I moved up here to that G, I can use that octave to say, oh, that's where the G note would be. That's definitely the starting point of the 2nd row of the major scale. I slid up to here, well, that's the 5th. And the 5th is going to be our 6th note, and then we drop back to the F. The F is the 4, and it's sitting right here. You might say, well, we didn't play that note ever. Well, watch. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the same note. And this is the great thing about the guitar. There's lots of places to find the same note. We just have to eventually become familiar with it. And so this is the power of what we're looking at. And it's interesting that 1, 4, 5, 6 sequence is really important in music. And in fact, we're going to start talking about that 1, 4, 5, 6 as our main chord progression of interest and how we can select 4 chords out of the major scale and use that to make our music. It's going to become super important in everything we do. So everything we've been learning up till now, we've gone through the tuning, we've gone through our 2 little rules, we figured out how to apply them, we've expanded it now to give power chords to everything, and then we reduced it down to the power chords we're interested in. Hope you found this interesting. We're going to be applying it again on day 3. Hopefully I'll see you there.